G'day. So, found this for $1, secondhand shop, Spiderbait, 1996 album, Ivy and the Big Apples. I had this back when it was first released, which I guess would have been 96, 97. I got it. Um, and I lost it, or it got stolen, I think. And I haven't listened to it for probably about 20 some years, and I forgot how great it is. His first 5 songs were pretty good. So that "Buy Me a Pony" was their first single. I remember it's about pretty short, it's about 2 minute song. Calypso is the other single, which is the female vocalist sings. So they're a 3-piece band with a female bass player, vocalist, a male guitarist, and a male drummer vocalist. So one of those rare ones where the drummer sings. Like he's the male vocalist is the drummer basically. There aren't many bands like there, are there? Really, at least modern day, there aren't many. I guess Mastodon, the drummer in that band is one of the singers. They all kind of sing in that band, but the band back in the 60s or 70s, whenever they were around. Anyway, it's a cool cover. Looks like it's taken from some kind of Japanese manga, anime from the 60s or 70s, that kind of style. Something that always bothered me, and I couldn't put my finger on, but now I've noticed why. So, see the Spiderbait font, which is normal. The Ivy and the Big Apples looks like it's like Times New Roman font, and it just doesn't match. It looks like they've just printed it on there afterwards, like they haven't, but it looks like they have. It always seemed off to me, and I never could realize why, but now I realize why. The font they use for the album name. Another Japanese comic style picture there. And there, I think, maybe. Those aren't. Those are kind of like 90s 3D renderings. Cutting edge back in 1996. So these guys were relatively popular here in New Zealand. They're an Australian band, but I remember around that time, late 90s, there was a few Australian bands. Spiderbait, Regurgitator, Jebediah, Friends All Wrong. They used to come over here for the big day outs. I remember there's always a lot of Australian bands on the big day out lineup in the late 90s, early 2000s. I saw these guys at a free concert. I remember they played a free. Something happened. They had a concert booked and they had to cancel. And then they came back and they played a free concert to make up. And it was like actually I can't remember the whole situation around it, but I remember I went to it. Would have been about 16 at the time. And they're a pretty good live band as well. So after this, they released a few more albums. I mean, they did a cover of Black Betty, which I didn't like. I don't like Black Betty, the original song either, to be honest. But and I was looking at whether they're still going now, and something that I noticed is that so they are going now, to answer the question, but bands don't break up anymore. Well, if they do break up, they don't stay broken up forever. No band breaks up and stays broken up forever. Almost every band that you look at that was big in the 90s, well, not big, it was around in the 90s, was active in the 90s, almost every single one of them either continued from then till now. You didn't know they were still going because I guess, the music has moved on and the zeitgeist and whatnot. But what usually happens is they were active for the 90s, 2000s, then they have like a hiatus. There's like a 10-year gap, which is what happened to these guys. They were 89 to 2004, broke up, came back 2013 till now. So it seems you have very few bands, unless someone dies, or even if they die, they still go, don't they? You know, like they'll find someone to replace the singer, or Alice in Chains, or Stone Temple Pilots. Unless the singer was absolutely irreplaceable, you know, like Nirvana, they couldn't really come back, could they? Kurt Cobain kind of was Nirvana. Soundgarden, God, I hope they never try and come back without a singer. That wouldn't be good. Typo Negative, again, I guess these bands have got really kind of the singer is kind of the personality and the symbol of the band, like Peter Steele or Chris Cornell or Kurt Cobain. Can't really. But then again, Lane Staley was a big part of Alice in Chains, wasn't it? His voice. But I guess Jerry was as big a part. Anyway, so yeah, these guys are still going. But you don't hear much of them nowadays. I haven't heard their name mentioned in any way whatsoever since about 2002. But yeah, this is a pretty good album. The one song in particular that I liked, and I remember liking when I was a kid, and then I went back and listened to this after I got this again, is that song number 4, When Fusion Ruled the Earth, which is a instrumental, which sounds, it really matches the name of the track, When Fusion Ruled the Earth. It sounds like, I don't know, I'm really not good at describing music, which is kind of a problem because this is kind of meant to be the point of these videos, but it sounds like the soundtrack of the earth being formed, like volcanoes and lava and magma and shit and lightning, and it's a really cool song. And I also remember they played it live when I saw them back in 1997 or whenever it was. But they're good at writing pretty short, catchy songs, kind of short, punk, catchy songs. Yeah, so not a bad album at all. Like I said, that kind of era of Australian rock, I like quite a lot of those bands. These guys and Regurgitator in particular. Which, by the way, I remember the singer of Regurgitator, Quan, was he the singer guitarist? He was married or in a relationship with the bass player of Spiderbait. So yeah, small world, eh? Anyway, great album, good album. Maybe not great. Great might be a bit far, but a pretty good album. You know, with bands from New Zealand and Australia, we kind of say, well, it's good for Australian band, which isn't really fair, is it? Why should an Australian band be any worse than an American band or anything else? But yeah, apparently this album sold 140,000 copies in Australia. That's pretty huge for Australia. That's 2 times platinum. Probably did, I'd say, yeah, wouldn't have done the same here, but, you know. What are their next album? Let's just have a look, quickly see. So the album after this was Grand Slam, which I also remember that one. I didn't own Grand Slam, but that I remember had a single on it as well. What was the single? Shazam. 35,000. See? Whew, big drop off. Anyway, thanks for watching.